You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent Talk.
Well, happy Wednesday night, all you awesome people. Thanks for being here. I'm your host, Scotty Roberts. This is my show, the Intrepid radio program, right here on the Odyssey Radio Network. You can go find Odyssey at odysy1.com. Go on over, see all the goodness that's Odyssey Radio. At the same time, you're going to come over here where we all are live tonight on my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Mr. Scotty Roberts. So come on over, join the chat room, see all the happy people and the smiley faces there and all the topics they talk about. And I just want to say welcome to everybody who's here already. And by the way, if you are not a member of this channel, go ahead and click on the join button down below, and it'll give you 3 ways you can become a member. So go on over and do that, and I would greatly appreciate that. So I want to just say hey to everybody that's here already. And Field Guy, he just popped into the wings out there. I'll bring him in a second here. Susie Q, good to see you. And Doug Stack, good to see you as well. Barbie D, you don't have your glasses on, so you're just going to listen tonight. And that's all right. I don't have my glasses on either, and I have to squint a little bit. So Matt Finn, Master Finn, good to see you. And who else we got? So far, just lining up, people popping in. And if you know, Scott Allen, how you doing, brother? And you know, folks, if you're just watching and you want to come on in, come on in. You don't have to be just sitting out there in the wings, and you can come on in and enjoy what we're doing here tonight. As I guess an opening treat, or some might say a salvo, I'm going to bring Field Guy in, who called in. He must have something on his mind. Field Guy, what are you doing, brother?
Drinking some Coke.
Well, drinking Coke.
Sam's Cola, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still...
You know, back when they first made Coke, it had, it was under 5%, but actual cocaine content. And this is why your grandparents can say they walked to school back and forth uphill both ways in the snow and the rain barefoot. So...
It doesn't snow here.
No, that's right.
Doesn't snow. But well, this is Sam's Cola. It's the the Walmart brand.
Yep. Walmart, the cheap brand of Coke.
Yep, 80-something cents. But yeah, I'm still reeling from neighbor breaking my water pipe.
Uh-oh. That's not cool.
Cutting the grass. There's a little alleyway, and somehow he smashed right into it. And
oops.
Turned my water off and didn't bother to tell me.
Oh, nice. It's very nice of him to do that for you.
Yeah. Oh, that's real nice when somebody was in the shower and they had to go out there and yell at him.
Yes.
So, but yeah, and I had to go out there and talk to him because I'm like, hey, you broke my damn water pipe, fix it.
Doug, are you Doug over in the chat room? Are you talking about on this day in 1894? It snowed 24 inches in Rain, Louisiana.
It does snow in Louisiana, northern part where my aunt lives. It snowed. She had pretty close to about an hour away from where Doug is. She had I think a foot, 2 feet of snow.
Yeah.
So that's 3 hours upwards.
Yeah.
The other direction.
Well,
Doug's in
we get tons of snow up here in the wintertime. So, at least it's not that way now. It's over 100 degrees all week it's been. And at least the humidity isn't too high. So that makes it livable. So it's almost like Louisiana weather, except it's not quite as humid this week.
They said the heat index is going to be 106 here.
Oh, nice.
But, when you got 80-90% humidity.
There it is.
That's I'm used to it. I lived here all my life. I'm used to it. Ain't nothing going to.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if it's. I'm actually surprised it lasted at the end of May. because usually we get it April.
Yes.
Or June. Hey, well, it's June now, but...
Speaking of snow, did you know that Greta Thunberg... speaking of snow, I'm thinking climate change. That's my only segue. Greta Thunberg complains that Chinese state-owned media is fat-shaming her. What does that do for you?
She complains about everything.
I know. She complains about everything and anything. And, you know, it's kind of funny. Didn't she try to shame us all, shame you all for not taking care of our planet the way she thought we should be? Well, and now she's sad and complaining that the Chinese state-owned media fat-shamed her in a critical article. And Thunberg issued her response in a tweet form from her official social media account. Being fat-shamed by Chinese state-owned media is pretty weird experience even by my standards, but it's definitely going on my resume, she tweeted. So she doesn't sound too bothered by it. But Thunberg was referring to the scathing missive, ridiculing her weight on China Daily and the state-owned media outlet. Although she claims to be a vegetarian, judging from the results of her growth, said China Daily, her carbon emissions are actually not low, said writer Tang Ji, who also referred to her as an environmental princess. And so yeah.
I guess they're comparing her to a cow, because, you know, cow produces methane, and that's what causes CO2. And I basically, they're calling her a cow.
Yes.
But I blocked her Twitter account because somebody that I follow kept retweeting. And I'm like, I'm not going to listen to a 16-year-old girl, a 17, however old she is. You know, I got more experience. Global warming really doesn't exist. It's just the Earth does this every couple million years. It goes through an ice age, a heat age. It'll happen again, you know, when we're off this planet.
It might not even be a couple of million years. They say every 12 years up here, thereabouts, the whole weather system cycles around. We'll have really cold, icy, snowy winters. Then we'll go through really mild winters. And there was an old farmer out in Litchfield out here in Minnesota, you know, western Minnesota, toward the Fargo area, down as you start going out there, you know. And he was saying, he was like in his 80s or 90s and saying that, yeah, ever since I've been a kid watching the Farmer's Almanac, it's about every 12 years or so it all changes. So it goes up and down, back and forth. And you know what? A million years from now, might be something totally different around. So
a million years, we ain't gonna be here, so I can care less.
I won't be here. I'll be long gone.
I think they will blow up Earth before that happens. Too much, because greed consumes everybody. They're gonna find a way to mine the moon. In if you ever seen the time machine, it was a time machine. Yep. When they mine the moon, he goes in the future a few years, and they blow up the moon by accident because they got greedy.
Yes.
I think that's what's going to happen to Earth. They're going to blow it up. Greed. They're going to try to get minerals out of the Earth. Boom. And then we're going to have to live on Mars, or hopefully mankind is smart enough to colonize other planets.
Well, yeah, or something. Or we're going to find life out there. There's another headline. Science and the truth are being attacked, Dr. Fauci says. He says that attacks on him are attacks on science itself. And so he's equating himself with capital S science.
Wait, this is a guy who's funding the Wuhan laboratory. Yeah. He's giving them money. And then he turns around and goes, why am I getting attacked? Because you're funding this the problem here.
Yes.
You know, he may not be directly in it, but then again, he might be. They don't really know. It's like Area 51. No one knows what it is. They think they do, but they don't. Same thing, I think.
Very true. Yeah, what else we got going on in the headlines here? Let's see. Florida Democrat Representative, where'd she go? Representative Val Demings announces bid to unseat Marco Rubio. Small hands Marco, as Donald Trump once referred to him. So somebody's trying to run against Marco there. What do you think is going to happen? What's your prediction, field guy, from your position there in Louisiana, sitting behind your computer right now? What do you think is going to happen in the 2022 elections?
Somebody's going to win. Someone's going to lose. Hopefully.
Boom, there it is. Right from I hear the Star Wars fanfare from the original film where they're all walking down to get their medals from Princess Leia. Bum 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 bum. There it is. There is field guy's prediction. Some people are going to win. Some people are going to lose.
I'm just hoping that that Trump comes into office in 2024 and he brings Ted Nugent as his vice president.
There you go. What do you think? Do you think Trump's going to run again? And if he does, do you think he's going to take on DeSantis as a vice president?
Oh, I guarantee he's going to run again. I mean, he's going around in North Carolina and other states doing rallies right now. I mean,
well, we got a rally here on Saturday, the 12th, just a few days from now. And there's a rally. Trump isn't going to be here, but it's going to be it's Mike Lindell, my pillow guy, throwing a freedom of speech rally. He's got Dinesh D'Souza and his daughter, Danielle D'Souza. He's got Sheriff Clark. Who else has he got? Charlie Kirk. Some of these other guys are all going to be speakers. And Donald Trump is set to address the group live by Jumbotron over at for those of you local to the area, the River's Edge concert venue. So I see Dave Potter out there in the chat room. Dave, how you doing? Ryan Gale, too. Dave, if you want to come with me, I can get you a ticket. Front row seat or thereabouts. VIP seating. And because I did all their graphics work and stuff. So let's see who else we got that came in while I wasn't looking. Ryan Gale is here. Oh, Ryan, don't leave. We're not doing political talk. We're just going through the news. A couple of issues on the news. That's all.
It's all my fault. Just blame me.
There it is.
I'm used to it.
Yep. Mike Yehudi. Good to see you, brother. Glad you're here.
Someone got mad at me a few nights ago. I mentioned something. I wasn't even talking about politics, and someone was like, "I'm never going to be on your channel again." I said, "Good. You ain't here to begin with."
Yeah.
One person doesn't make or break anything.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, Roger Rabbit. Good to see you as well. All right, folks. This is all just introductory matter, as we call it. And Field Guy was here, so I was going to bounce a couple of headlines off of him. So, Field Guy, I'm going to dump you right now. I'm going to dump you for another thing. And we're going to get into some stuff.
You got another person in the background.
Nobody's there. Nobody's there. So we're just going to go on and move our topic into the topic for tonight.
Okay,
so
I appreciate
nice of you to stop by.
Anytime.
All right, brother. See you in the chat room. Talk soon. All right. Field Guy is off and running. And he's frolicking through the fields, perhaps. And so, yes, Dave, we should talk if you were talking to me. There, Ryan, we're moving from political news headlines now to the topic of the night. So I hope you haven't left yet. And we're going to talk about, I got to be honest with you, folks. I am worn to a nub mentally today. I don't know what went on during the day. In the course of the last 2 to 3 hours, I've just declined and I'm ready to go to bed. Well, not on the show, of course, but I'm about done mentally for the day. So you're going to have to bear with me. If I don't get too excited and too frenetic about the things I'm talking about tonight, bear with me. And hopefully I won't be too bland and too boring because my energy level has declined already for the day. I've been going since about, you know me, I woke up, I looked at my watch, and it's glowy in the darky kind of thing. But I look at my watch, and I'm like, I can barely see it. And I thought, it's 5 o'clock. I can get up. And so I got up. Little did I know, it was about 10 minutes after 4. And it just looked like it was 5 o'clock the way I was looking at it. So I got up at 4 o'clock, which is about when my body wakes me up every day. And so I've been going all day. And that's not unusual. But tonight, The day has caught up with me today. So, but we'll do okay there. I've just spent like 3 minutes talking about being tired for the day. Let's get back into this talk about Lilith. Remember last night we were talking about the alphabet of Ben Sira. Now, Dave Potter, I want to shoot this to you because of your background. Maybe you've heard of the alphabet of Ben Sira. It's a story that he wrote back in about the 10th century AD, about 1,000 years ago. And he gives us a little insight into Lilith. And the alphabet of Ben Sira shows a very familiar Lilith. She's destructive. She can fly. She has a penchant for sex. And yet the tale adds a new twist. This is where we first hear that Lilith was Adam's first wife. At least this is what we can find in the sources. So about 1,000 years ago. And Adam's first wife before Eve. And so Ben Sira, in his alphabet of Ben Sira, he lays out quite a case for why Lilith should be looked at as the first wife of Adam, and all the nasty things that she brought to womankind. And some thought it was kind of satire, and others said, no, this is not satire. So whether Ben Sira intended to produce this earnest midrash or irreligious burlesque about Lilith, the treatise proclaims that Lilith was unfit to serve as Adam's helper. And while medieval readers might have laughed at the story's bawdiness, at the end of the risque tale, Lilith's desire for liberation is thwarted by male-dominated society. And for this reason, of all the Lilith myths, her portrayal in the alphabet of Ben Sira is today most trumpeted among them all, despite the distinct possibility that its author was simply spoofing sacred texts all along, which is highly possible and probable. So we don't really know if Lilith was really there because the sources can be a little dubious. And so there are more milestone Lilith stories. So the next milestone in her journey in history lies in the Zohar, which elaborates on the earliest account of Lilith's birth in Eden. In the Zohar, this means splendor, is the Hebrew title for a fundamental Kabbalistic tome, which was first compiled in Spain by Moses de Leon about between 1250 and 1305, somewhere in there. And using earlier sources, the Kabbalists, members of the late medieval school of mystical thought, the Zohar's mystical and allegorical interpretations of the Torah are considered sacred. And the Lilith of Zohar depends on a rereading of Genesis 1:27, and God created man in his image. In the image of God, he created him, male and female, he created them. It's Genesis 1:27. And the interpretation of this passage in the Talmud, based on the shift of pronouns from he created him to the plural he created them, in Genesis 1:27, the Talmud suggests that the first human being was a single androgynous creature with two distinct halves. Quote, as it was in the intention that the two, male and female, should be created, but ultimately only one was created. This was Urban in 18a of his writings, and in the Talmud. And centuries later, the Zohar elaborates that the male and the female were soon separated after they were created. And the female portion of the human being was attached to the side. So God placed Adam in a deep slumber and sawed her off from him and adorned her like a bride and brought her to him. Reminds me of chihuahuas mating. We had chihuahuas, and once they got together, there was no separating them. So Dave remembers our chihuahuas. So this detached portion is the original Lilith, according to Zohar 34b. and who was with him, Adam, and who conceived from him. And so another passage indicates that as soon as Eve is created and Lilith sees her rival clinging to Adam, Lilith flies away. She takes off, as we saw in some of the other stories of Lilith. So Eve was the younger woman, and he left number one for. That's pretty much it, Dave. She was younger by a day or two, something like that. And so, any relation to pants? No, I don't think so. I'm getting your drift there. You're not talking necropants, are you? That's an old Intrepid radio reference to way back when John Ward and I were doing the show together. We had Rocky, and we were talking about Icelandic necropants. If you don't know what those are, folks, go look them up. There's pictures of them. Excuse me. It's supposed to be great magic. So, now the Zohar, unlike all these other early treatments of Lilith throughout ancient religious literature, sees her as a temptress of innocent men. She's the breeder of evil spirits, the carrier of disease. She wanders about at nighttime, vexing the sons of men and causing them to defile themselves. That is, shh, it's delicate here. If there's children listening, to defile themselves by emitting seed. Let's keep it that way. And Zohar and 19b. And the passage goes on to say that she hovers over her unsuspecting victims, inspires their lust, conceives their children, and then infects them with disease. And Adam is one of her victims, for he fathers many spirits and demons. So says Zohar. And through the force of the impurity which he had absorbed from Lilith. And so the promiscuity of Lilith will continue until the day God destroys all evil spirits. And Lilith even attempts to seduce King Solomon many, many years later, centuries later. She comes in the guise of the Queen of Sheba. But when the Israelite king spies her hairy legs, he realizes she is a beastly imposter. So there you go, ladies. There's a good reason to shave your legs, I guess. So you're not mistaken as a deadly, beastly imposter. Perhaps even Lilith herself. I gotta tell Rainey about that. Hey, Rainey, your legs are a little hairy today. Are you demonic? Back, evil demon, beast from the lair, the underworld, as in Ponce de Leon. This is David Potter. And so at several points, the Zohar breaks away from the traditional presentation of the divine personality as exclusively male. And it discusses a female side to God called the Shekinah. Now, we've talked about the Shekinah several points on this show. Not tonight. This is the first we mentioned it tonight, but several other passages. The Shekinah being the female presence of God. And the Shekinah, whose name means the divine presence in Hebrew, also appears in the Talmud. And in the Zohar, the lust that Lilith instills in men sends the Shekinah into exile. And so if the Shekinah is Israel's mother, then Lilith is the mother of Israel's apostasy. And Lilith is even accused of tearing apart the Tetragrammaton, the unspoken name of God, and the sacred name of the Lord Yahweh. And so the Zohar's final innovation concerning the Lilith myth is to partner her with the male personification of evil, named either Samael or Asmodeus. And he's associated with Satan the serpent, not Lucifer. So Samael, remember, it's got the L on the end of the name, which denotes, it's like all the archangels, Michael, Gabriel, Azazel, and all of those. And as Samael or Asmodeus, and he's associated with Satan, the serpent, and the leader of fallen angels. Now Lilith and Samael, from an unholy alliance, You read about this in Zohar 23 through 55. They embody the dark, negative sphere of the depraved, these two when put together. And so one of the many stories of Samael and Lilith, God is concerned that the couple will produce this huge demonic brood and overwhelm the earth with evil. And Samael is therefore castrated. Well, this sounds like a lot of the Egyptian tales and other mythologies you read. And Lilith satisfies her passions by dallying with other men and causing their nocturnal emissions, which she then uses to become pregnant. So, guys, lest you think, wow, I sure could use a visitation from Lilith or a succubus. That would sure be cool, because then I could have sex. Is having sex with a demon considered to be something wrong? If the demon takes me? I mean, I've heard guys say these things. That's why I bring it up. And so, but who knows? You know, I always said that, well, according to this passage in the Zohar, though, what does Lilith do? She makes men have nocturnal emissions, and then impregnates herself. So very interesting practice there. Sometimes it's said that she had sex with them, but she causes them to lust, causes them to dream, causes them to have these emissions. Excuse me. Sorry about that. And so while Lilith appears in the Zohar and many anonymous folktales throughout Europe, over the centuries, she's attracted the attention of some of Europe's best-known artists and writers. Germany's Johann Goethe, 1740s he lived, to the 1830s. He refers to Lilith in Faust. An English Victorian poet, Robert Browning, all through the 1800s he lived, penned Adam, Lilith, and Eve. I'm wondering, I'm very curious, Robert Browning, if I can see that poem, Adam, Lilith, and Eve. I'm curious about this. Here it is. This is a poem by Robert Browning. He wrote it in 1883, and it's entitled Adam, Lilith, and Eve. It goes like this. One day it thundered and lightened. Two women fairly frightened sank to their knees, transformed, transfixed, at the feet of a man who sat betwixt. And mercy, cried each, if I tell the truth of a passage in my youth. Said this, do you mind the morning? I met your love with scorning. As the worst of the venom left my lips, I thought if I despise this lie he strips the mask from my soul with a kiss I crawl, his slave, soul, body, and all. Said that, we stood to be married, the priest or someone tarried. If paradise door prove locked, smiled you, I thought as I nodded, smiling too, did one that's away arrive, nor late, nor soon should unlock hell's gate? It ceased to lighten and thunder, up started both in wonder, looked round and saw that the sky was clear, then laughed, confess you believed us, dear. I saw through the joke, the man replied. They reseated themselves beside. So there you go. Robert Browning's take on Lilith, Adam, and Eve. How about that? So the man, of course, was smarter than both women, according to him. And so as we move on, she was a scheming and spiteful woman, Lilith, and she conceives her former lover, the snake, convinces her former lover, the snake, to loan her a reptilian shape. And so, disguised as a snake, Lilith returns to Eden and convinces Eve and Adam to sin by eating the forbidden fruit and causes God great sorrow. And Rosetta Rossetti maintains that not a drop of her blood was human, but that Lilith nevertheless had the form of a beautiful woman, as can be seen in his painting entitled Lady Lilith. And I don't have it here, so you can't really see it. And so you're just standing there staring at me when I'm doing radio. What can I do for you?
Lucy's scary. She keeps looking at things and running from them.
Ooh, Lucy, our dog Lucifer, is Rowan's out there all alone because Rainey's got the other two kids running some errands. And so Rowan's out there in the dark watching TV, waiting for everybody to get home, and the dog is being scary. She's looking at things and growling and running.
I never said growling.
I added the growling. I guess I exaggerated it. Yeah. So, okay. Well, you go out, and if you see any ghosts or monsters or anything like that, just let me know.
I'm leaving your door open now.
All right. I appreciate that. So, there you go. Dogs can sense evil, says Field Guy. So anyway, I don't know what the talk's going on. It's probably a good time to take a look at what's going on over there in the chat room. I get a glimpse of it. It's over here. When you see me look over, that's what I'm looking to. And Delaney Pearl Jones, good to see you. There was a Planned Parenthood commercial on before I came on. That's got to be planned. No pun intended. Let's see. What else is going on? I can hardly keep my eyes open, says Susie Q. I'm going to go lay down and listen. I love you all. She says, you know what? I can hardly keep my eyes open, too. Maybe I should go lay down. Let's see. Matt, that'd be interesting. I could do this show from the recline, couldn't I? I could lay down and I could just lay there and I go, okay, folks, here we go. Here's what we're going to talk about. So I embellished, says Michelle Cannonfree. That was the word my tired brain was looking for, and I got exaggerated is what came up. So let's see. Tell Rowan to chat with me. I'll keep her company. Hey, Rowan, chat with Uncle Dave. He'll keep you company. Chat with Uncle Dave. He'll keep you company.
I don't have a phone.
Here, use mine. She'll get a hold of you on mine, Uncle Dave.
Don't mind my
So there you go. I'm not minding your hands at all. So she'll call you up on my messenger, Dave. Uncle Dave. So, all right. Let's continue on with this on Lilith. So, in the 1950s, C.S. Lewis invoked... Did you know this? This is where he got this. C.S. Lewis invoked Lilith's image in the Chronicles of Narnia by creating the White Witch. And one of the most sinister characters in this imaginary world. And as the daughter of Lilith, the White Witch is determined to kill the sons of Adam and the daughters of Eve. And she imposes a perpetual freeze on Narnia so that it is always winter, but never Christmas. In an apocalyptic tale of good overcoming evil, Aslan, the creator and king of Narnia, kills the White Witch and ends her cruel reign. So that was in literature. You see her being brought up. Today, the tradition of Lilith has enjoyed a resurgence due mainly to the feminist movement of the late 20th century. Now, renewed interest in Lilith has led modern writers to invent even more stories about her. Ignoring or explaining away Lilith's unsavory traits, feminists have focused instead upon Lilith's independence and desire for autonomy. I don't need no man. That's the Lilith of the Lilith movement, or the Lilith that's been adopted by the feminist movement. They've turned her into something she never was in thousands of years of mythology. And so a feminist parable by Judith Plaskow Goldberg typifies the new view of Lilith. At first, Goldenberg's fanciful tale follows the basic Ben Sira line in his plot, the alphabet of Ben Sira. And Lilith dislikes being subservient to Adam, so she flees paradise, and her absence inspires God to create Eve. Just a little less than what what Lilith was. But in Goldenberg's retelling, the exiled Lilith is lonely. She tries to re-enter the Garden of Eden, and Adam does everything he can to keep her out, inventing wildly untrue stories about how Lilith threatens pregnant women and newborns. And one day, Eve sees Lilith on the other side of the garden wall and realizes that Lilith is a woman just like her. And swinging on a branch of an apple tree, a curious Eve catapults herself over Eden's walls, where she finds Lilith waiting. And as the two women talk, they realize they have a lot in common, till the bond of sisterhood grew between them, quote unquote. And so the budding friendship between Lilith and Eve puzzles both man and deity. So soon after Goldenberg's prose piece, Pamela Hadass produced a 12-part poem that examines Lilith's dilemma from the female vantage point. And it's entitled The Passion of Lilith. You could probably look that up and read it. The Passion of Lilith by Goldenberg. And the poem explores the she-demon's feelings in the first person by beginning with the question, what had the likes of me to do with the likes of Adam? And the first two people are cast as opposites, who don't understand one another. They can't learn to appreciate each other's strengths. They have irreconcilable differences. So they divide up all the china and the silverware, and Lilith takes off. She regards herself as an example of God's after whim or black humor. So if I wanted to look up, I'm curious, Goldenberg, The Passion of Lilith. Excuse me. Let's see. I want to see if the poem is actually here. Lilith, bitchcraft, it says here. Me, myself, witches, WordPress. So that's not what I'm looking for. It's Pamela Hadass. I'm sorry that wrote that. Let's see. It's not all that long here. What had the likes of me to do with the likes of Adam? Yet by after whim or black humor of him, we were thrown together, clay, scene and glaze of moon. Then Adam nearly drove me mad, my original gaping, letterman, docile as a stamp and bland as logic, flapping forever the divine right of his real estate at my obvious lack of properties. I tried at first to please, open my box of miracles for him. Hodiodo. That's a good way to put it, huh? I'm going to use that on Rennie. Rennie, please show me your box of miracles. So anyway, let's see. She said, I tried at first to please, open my box of miracles for him. He only wanted to hoe the peas. That's H-O-E, the peas, as in little green vegetables. P-E-A-S. He only wanted to hoe the peas. He wanted his birds in his hand. All mine gladly beat round the bush. I wove an arbor, bindweed and the angel's bane. And he wouldn't enter in. He wouldn't lie under my crazy guilts or improvise. He'd rather die. He had the Word with a capital W. The Word. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So he had the Word, had it from on high, while I, previous to alphabets, superfluous as ampersand, curled on chaos, still my edges blurred. Gardens are made for orderers. Gardeners are made to order. But I am disorderable, the first trespasser. So as Adam was carefully hedging his bets and hugging the hedge, and while angels were warring and settling, God's teeth on edge, misfit and mislaid, I fled. I gave a damn and left my first love sucking his green thumb. So there you go. That is an interesting, The Passion of Lilith by Pamela Hadass. She wrote that back in 1980 for the Jewish Publication Society. I thought that was very interesting. That's an interesting little read. So, Hadass's Lilith complains that she feels superfluous because she cannot yield to the dull, artless, monotonous restrictions of Adam's paradise. And so the female misfit flees the scene, and she tries to satisfy her maternal instincts by approaching women in childbirth and newborn babies. And to their detriment, of course, Hadass's feminist perspective is most apparent at the poem's conclusion. However, when Lilith sees her life of pain as qualifying her for sainthood, having been created from God's breath, Lilith asks old bald God to marry her, to breathe in her again. When the Lord refuses, she's hurt. Angry, she leaves with few options except to travel the world alone. That's the way that particular version of the legend took place. And Lilith's peregrinations continue today. This winged night creature is, in effect, the only surviving she-demon from the Babylonian Empire. She's reborn each time her character is reinterpreted. And the retellings of the myth of Lilith reflect each generation's views of the feminine role. And as we grow and change with millennia, Lilith survives because she's the archetype for the changing role of women. Did you know that? That's what she has become. You just look at the way she is used nowadays in modern feminism, the way she's looked to, and you get the idea. You get to start to understand how Lilith became almost the mascot in modern feminism, hailing back to ancient Babylonian mythological literature. So that's what the kids are calling it now, the treasure box. What was it? Something like that, Dave? Then blah, blah, blah. He opened my box of miracles. It's a box of miracles. And frankly, when you think about it, it kind of is. You know, guys put things in it, and out comes a baby. That's pretty miraculous. When you think of it, orgasms are pretty miraculous things. So there you go. Men and women were meant to fit together. So Lilith the Succubus, says Macabre Menace. Sterling Brew, how you doing? Matt Finn says, I'll bet you could learn by watching some videos, Steve. Oh, you're on a totally different topic. I thought you were telling Steve he could learn what this box of miracles does by watching some videos. Metal does go a lot faster, almost forever, blah, blah, blah. Totally different topic. Sorry for my misinterpretation. So Lilith could have been the poster child for the World War II, the famous woman flexing with muscles. You talking about Rosie the Riveter? Where she's going, Grr! And she's showing what a manly woman she is. Yes, perhaps, Field Guy. Perhaps. Let's see what else we got here. The magic moves through us, says Michelle Cannon-Free. I agree with you, Michelle. I've seen it. A lot of us have seen it. I hail to Dave, because Dave's been one of my dearest friends for the last 30 years. So he knows this stuff too. Yeah, Rosie the Riveter, said Scott Allen. Exactly. So I did want to touch on, excuse me, this whole creating woman thing. And I don't know if I want to get into that tonight because it's really thick and it's really heavy. And it's talking about this etiological logic of the Garden of Eden. And what's very interesting about that is that creation of woman, it's being kind of put into the terms of causing or contributing to the development of a disease or a condition. It's like an antibody to bacteria. It serves to explain something by giving a reason for it. That's the word I was looking for a couple of weeks ago, maybe a few weeks ago. How we take and we apply mythological stories to actual geologic or scientific or natural events to try to explain them. It's etiological, E-T-I or E-T-I-O, logical, etiological. It serves to explain something by giving a cause or a reason for it, often in history or mythological frameworks. So etiological is the idea there. And so the theory of the creation of woman has several things going for it. Most notably, you can call it etiological logic of the Garden of Eden story. It's a primary function of the story of the creation of woman is etiology. Explaining the origins of something is what that's all about. The origins of things, the living things, the farming, the clothing, the necessity for wearing clothes, pain in childbirth, weeds, patriarchy, death, and even why humans don't mostly like snakes. Now, you have to consider the creation of the woman. You need to take that out of here, baby, because it's going to play back on the radio.
I made you a smoothie.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
It's totally not ketchup and milk.
It's totally not ketchup and milk. It's a smoothie. Well, you didn't waste too much ketchup or milk, did you, in that?
Totally.
All right. Well, thank you, my child. See, she cares about me. Nobody's here. She just wants to serve like a good Eve should do. Look at, she hands me this. She says it's a smoothie. And she said it's totally not ketchup and milk or whipped cream on top. I wouldn't have drunk that anyway, because I've seen them do this to each other, these children. So ketchup and milk. So that's like tomato soup, isn't it? In a way. So yes, ketchup and milk, field guy. Yum. Macabre Menace cares about me. Yes, Macabre, but do you bring me a ketchup and milk smoothie with marshmallows on top? Oh, wait. I wanted to say, I said whipped cream. I think that's actually marshmallows. So there you go. Cheers. I'm not drinking it. So that's what I want to get into. I think we're going to take that thing tomorrow night where I'm talking about the creation of woman, because there's a lot of material there and I want to cover that a little bit. Wait, I can't do it tomorrow night. It's going to have to be Friday. You know why tomorrow night? We've got Michael Freehawk Polani coming on tomorrow night. And I think you're really going to enjoy getting to know him. Some of you know him on my YouTube, my Facebook page. And I wanted to see if I have a little bio for him up here. Let's see. He's the co-creator of Harmonic Wellness. And we'll tell you more about him tomorrow night. But if you look him up, Michael Freehawk Polani, just take this. I'm going to put it in the chat room. There's his name. If you're interested in finding out a bit about him, Teresa, if you're in the chat room, you might be interested in him for your own show, if you don't know him already. And let's see. Who else did I just see here that I thought might... Elder Barry is here. How you doing, Elder Barry? I don't know if I said hi to you earlier. But yes, Michael Freehawk Polani. He's the co-creator of Harmonic Wellness. I wanted to see if there was a little bit more about it here. He says about Harmonic Wellness, Michael Polani, Freehawk. Here at Harmonic Wellness, we use sound, light, frequency, and vibration to put back in balance that which is out of balance. We work with resonant vessel called the harmonic egg and are proud to own the 9th constructed one on the planet. And this modality has the potential to literally resonate your body toward optimal health. And some of our clients have reported less stress, better sleep, improved mood, less back and joint pain, reduced inflammation, mental clarity, overall better quality of life. And there are even testimonials that report less tremors associated with Parkinson's disease. Sound and light has been used safely for millennia, and we're honored to offer this ancient wisdom to a much in need modern world. And this whole thing about sound, remember we were talking about Enoch and frequency, the original alphabet, the original language, and frequency. This is probably what they're tapping into a little bit. There are even wonder places right now. I hear it on the radio all the time when I'm driving. You hear, men, do you have erectile dysfunction? Well, come and see Dr. Tim, who uses sound wave technology to clear the blockages. It's sound, and that's all they do, non-surgical. And they use it for other things as well. Neuropathy. I'm going to see somebody I've got a little neuropathy in my feet. And so they're going to look at that and put me through some treatment that might just reverse that. And so I'm all for that. So it's interesting what sound technology can do. And since we've got a couple of minutes left, I wanted to hit, there's a little article I've got up here, Lilith in the Bible and mythology. And there's connections between Adam's first wife, Lilith, and Jadis, the White Witch of Narnia. And we hit on that just very briefly tonight. And I found this article about that, talking about C.S. Lewis, who's one of the most beloved authors of the 20th century. He created a magical fictional world called Narnia. If you haven't read the books at one point or seen the movies that have come out, the primary villain of the first book of the series, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, is Jadis. She's the White Witch. And this is the character Edmund's description of the White Witch when he first meets her. He says, "A great lady, taller than any woman that Edmund had ever seen. She also was covered in white fur up to her throat, and held a long, straight golden wand in her right hand, and wore a golden crown on her head. Her face was white, not merely pale, but white like snow or paper or icing sugar, except for her very red mouth. It was a beautiful face in other respects, but proud and cold and stern." That was Edmund's first impression of her from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So Jadis, the White Witch, is beautiful. She's terrifying. And although she looks like a human, she's not. And according to the character, Mr. Beaver in Narnia, don't anybody's minds go nuts there. All these little asides we have, miracle boxes and Mr. Beaver and things like that. But the White Witch was descended from Lilith, Adam's first wife on one side, from the giants on the other. That's why she's so tall. And who is Lilith? Asks the question in this article. Is there any warrant for calling Lilith Adam's first wife? Now, we just went through a lot of this. So there's a lot of this I'm not really going to go into too deeply again. Otherwise, it'd be a bit redundant. But are there appearances of Lilith in the Bible? And by the way, as another aside, one thing I want to look into, which I mentioned last night, it talks about how Lilith had sex with Adam and he kept bequeathing demons and evil spirits. And so I wanted to look into that and see what's behind all of that, other than just Talmudic literature. And so Dan Ben-Amos, the professor of folklore and Asian and Middle Eastern studies at the University of Pennsylvania, explores the figure of Lilith in the Bible and mythology in an article he's got, From Eden to Edna, Lilith in the Garden. And we might take a look at that tomorrow night, too. We might hit up on that a bit. From Eden to Edna, that's Lilith in the Garden. And for centuries, the paradise described in Genesis has been a formative myth in the Judeo-Christian culture. And the creation of woman from Adam's rib both projected and validated woman's inferiority and secondary role in Western society. And so you can go to the new interpretations of the word, the Hebrew word found in the passage, Tsela, T-S-E-L-A in English phonetics, shifting its meaning from rib to baculum. You know what the baculum is, folks? It's the penis bone. So it's been proposed that that's what the term actually means. Not rib, but the penal bone. And it's nothing short of revolutionary. It shifts the whole mythic paradigm from an obscure derivation of women from man to her primary and equal role in the procreative bonding. And there's a whole set of challenges that have been offered up as a fundamental tenet of Judeo-Christian culture, and a basic principle that has underscored this social gender relations for generations. So we're going to look at some of that tomorrow night as well. I think it's pretty heady stuff. It's pretty cool stuff. Field Guy says, no idea. I never cracked open a Bible. You ought to just get a modern, Field Guy and anybody else, if you haven't read the Bible and you want to read it for literature or read it for mythology or research, don't read the King James unless you're really into Shakespearean types of language and language usage of the English language. It was written in 1611. So skip that one and move to a more modern translation. I like the NIV, the New International Version. I also like Eugene Peterson's The Message, where he takes the Bible and has written it and retranslated it in modern idiom, the way we would talk and say things today. And it's a very good version. I really like it. So Scott Allen said, I've read the Bible cover to cover. It took me a while, but I did it because I'm open-minded. And you know what? I think I probably read the Bible cover to cover. I never set out with any goal, even in my seminary and ministry days. I never set out with a goal to say, I must read the Bible cover to cover. It wasn't that big a deal to me because I had studied so much of it and read so much of it and gone through so much of it in the education process that I didn't think I had any problem with it. And Macabre, Sterling, you have a good night or a good day, I guess, over there in Japan. Glad to see you here tonight. And Doug Stack says, I've read the red to read the red. There you go. And Matt Finn says, I haven't read the whole book, but a lot of it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've read the whole thing. There are obscure passages I couldn't quote you from. The Book of Amos. What's the Book of Amos about? I don't remember. Every now and then I run across a verse from the Book of Amos. Scott Allen says, I have so many notes in the sides of pages. Yeah, so do I. I wonder, do I have that sitting right here? I have a Bible that was given to me by an old man named Bill Fisher. He was the man I met that mentored me in the faith when I was a kid, when I was Flynn's age. I thought it was sitting right here, and I guess it isn't. I must have it stored away so it doesn't get ruined. But it's an old Schofield King James Bible. And it's got a concordance in it and all of that. And it was the thing to do when you were in Fundamentalist Baptist Church. We'd make notes in our Bibles, and underscore and all that. And there's so much stuff in that old Bible that was given to me in 1972, I want to say. And so what is that? That's 50 years ago. And so I've still got that tucked away somewhere. It's in a box. It's in safekeeping. It might be sitting on a shelf somewhere here. I don't know. Might be in the glass cabinet way over there. But it's all underscored. And it's all got notes all throughout the margins and everything. I wanted to get a wide margined Bible when I was in college, so I could take lots of copious amounts of notes. So, yeah, Field Guy, there was a 1972. That's pretty amazing, huh? I was 11 years old back then. That's when Erding, I mentioned this the other day. I was working for this guy. He was a fireplace builder and a stonemason, a bricklayer, and he would pay me $10 on a Saturday to work with him. And so he'd pay me $10. I'd be like a rich kid in school. It was between 6th and 7th grade. And so grade school and middle school at the time, junior high school. and I'd get paid $10. Well, I looked up and I did a Google search on it. What's the value of $10 in 1972 in today's currencies, 2021? Came back and it said $63 and some odd cents is the value. So in essence, I was making roughly what would be the equivalent to $63 a week, just being an 11-year-old kid going into the 7th grade. That was a lot of money at the time. Now, the value of money has changed. I don't mean the currency figures, but the way we see it in value and the way kids understand it nowadays compared to back then. It's different. But the value was there. So Scott Allen was 11 as well. So there you go. Scott Allen, we're the same age. And so Matthew Sainsbury he's late. Matthew Sainsbury, you're very late because we're actually done. We're going to be signing out here in a minute, but I'm glad you came in anyway. Good to see you, brother. And if I missed anybody who came into the chat room, I was so busy talking, I might not have seen you. What is Moby Dick? Who said something about Moby Dick? I also read Moby Dick cover to cover. That one took me a year. So Scott, frankly, being an author of books now, and all the study I've done, I hated reading when I was a kid. Didn't like it at all. That's where I was very happy that my oldest kids, my twin daughters, were enthralled with reading because I would read to them every night. And so they became very much the avid readers as they were kids. And Sam, not so much. He's not a big reader, but I read to him too. And I read to my kids now. They're just into different things now. So it's too bad. But I think reading to your kids is the thing that helps them want to learn how to read and read more. So Moby Dick's a fantastic book, Scott Allen. That's what he says. I'm trying to think. The one book that impressed me the most, it wasn't an old classic like Moby Dick. It's still a classic nowadays. Was Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird. That was the first book that captured my attention when I was a kid. And I think I read that in the 9th grade. And 13 years old, something like that. And that book has stuck with me over the years. And as I've mentioned here, I read that to my kids a couple of years ago. I read it chapter by chapter at bedtime. And Flynn was really taken by the book. So anyway, that's all I got for tonight, folks. We're going to hit this whole topic of Lilith again tomorrow. No, not tomorrow, Friday, because we have Michael Freehawk Polanyi in here tomorrow. I think it's going to be an interesting show. It'll be fun for everybody here to get to know him and see what he's all about. And I find him to be a very peaceful, centered, focused. Maybe he doesn't see himself that way. A lot like Ruben. That's the way I saw Ruben Fast Horse when I first met him and got to know him. But I think Michael is a practitioner of a spirituality that might be very interesting for us all to see. So, me too, Michelle Cadamfree. Love Harper Lee. So, all right. I know it's over 150 years, but I wrote it 70 years ago, said Doug Stack. What's that? I missed something. There, Doug, I missed your meaning. I'm sure there's a great joke in there that I missed. So anyway, folks, I want to thank you all for being here. And do come back tomorrow when we have our special guest, Michael Freehawk Polanyi. And you all have a good night now. And you know what? Live long and prosper.
You're listening to the Intrepid radio program with Scotty Roberts. Intelligent Talk.